Night Runners may possibly be the only game I have played it in a while that really captures that highway battle feel that no other game has gotten close to since. The only other series that really captured that feel was Tokyo Extreme Racer, made by Genki. Sadly, the series is no longer around, but I feel like if they were to bring the series back, it would have a place in the market to stand on its own. Tokyo Extreme Racer deserves its own video, but as of right now, this video is about Night Runners. And man, where do I begin? Night Runners is created by one man alone, who we are going to call Gem. This man really does know the right art style to hit that 90s to early 2000s feel. This has been the type of game I've been looking forward to for the longest amount of time. Unfortunately, not a lot of games are on the market, like I said before, and well, Need for Speed has had its run, and whatever the fuck this story is.
Yeah, I was like, yo, bro. And yo, check this, bro. He was all like, if you know, bro. And you know what I said? Bro!
Yeah. But we're not going to talk about that right now. So let's focus on the main thing you're going to be looking at when you launch Night Runners, and that's going to be its art style. The game has this VHS filter whenever you launch the game, and whenever you interact with any menu. I do believe you can also turn on the VHS filter for any event that you are doing, if you really want to immerse yourself into that 90s to early 2000s feel. And the highway system, which mainly takes inspiration from the real-life Tokyo highway system, feels just right. Even though it's just a bunch of straights, there are still some curves and elevation changes to make each road feel different from the last. The city, even if it's only at night, still looks amazing. You really do feel like you're driving in Japan with a bunch of lights shining down on you, and only gets better from there as the day progresses, which we will get to that shortly. The car models are amazing, to say the least. Granted, there's only one model that you can currently drive, that being the Sanis Lavenza, or the Nissan Silvio 180SX. But that doesn't mean the AI can't drive any other cars that you have yet to get your grubby hands on. Speaking of the AI, man, I have never hated Skynet more in my life until now. The AI is the only massive gripe I really have with this game, because it's a roll of the dice if they are really going to spare your life or absolutely push your shit in until you have zero shit left inside of you. Now, this wouldn't really be a large issue if the game didn't revolve around the AI being such a major component for the game, simply due to a mechanic called betting. You can place bets with other drivers, not after they say something really nice about you, and then your car. This is where the real game begins, since you want to do the highest amount possible for your bets, due to this funny little thing called debt. You see, when you start the game, your tax evasion from your friend catches up to you, and you would have to pay back a small loan of $3 trillion, and possibly give up your car if you go bankrupt. So basically, you're fucked. Once you do make a bet, the race starts, and my god, the sounds in this game are really something. I could fall asleep to these sounds because they're just that good, and they only get better from there. But anyways, how does the game play, you may be asking? The game does feel nice even in a stock car if, you know, you ignore all the mishaps and also the AI doing some of the most inhuman speeding known to man that even the police in Dubai would refuse to try to keep up with them. This is where another small issue starts as well. If the AI does speed off and you can't catch up, you are allowed to restart for quite literally a price, further draining the money you need to upgrade your car and get out of debt. So you better hope you made a high enough bet and win enough to cover the amount of restarts you will be doing. Though this is not only due to the AI, the car really does play a big role. Seeing as we are friends with a man who does literal tax evasion, we are only able to afford a used car from the auction house. But man, does the auction house look really beautiful. It again really adds to that Japanese aesthetic the game is going for, and it really does copy that auction feel as you see the car roll up into a booth as you are behind the computer, deciding whether you want the car or not. Though, there is one thing you should really be paying attention to, and that would be the folders giving you information on all of the cars you may see. And, of course, their prices and transmission type, which actually does play a major factor in how you'll be playing the game in the future. But, the one you really want to be paying attention to is the notes given for the car. Now, some of these may seem a little silly, but there are some of the most important things you will have ever read in your life. Some may state that the car had a rebuilt engine, or that the engine is blown and no longer runs. This is really important simply due to the fact that if you run a car with an engine that's damaged, you're already at a massive disadvantage, since you're significantly slower than any other stock car that you can even buy. And for whatever reason, if you feel like adding some more cash on top of what you already dropped for the car, the engine is still going to be missing some horsepower simply due to the shit engine you decided to pick out. It's like putting a 3-year-old against Mike Tyson. You know the baby will get launched, it's just a matter of when. Remember what I said about the transmission as well, and how important it is to either pick a manual or auto car? The reason for that is because you are stuck with whatever transmission type you pick that the car brings. The game even warns you about this before you even make your final selection. Though, hopefully in the future there's some sort of swap, so if you pick a manual car you can swap it into an automatic, and vice versa. Seeing as how engine swaps are being planned, I really don't see why there wouldn't be a reason to have a swap like this in the game as well. Anyways, I usually pick the manual transmission car because I'm allowed to control the shifts and all that jazz, but you are allowed to pick an automatic if you want to be a little bit on the slower end and let the game shift for you. And once you do pick your car, it's off to go betting and fulfill your gambling desires for some fucking reason. But there is one little thing that you should keep in mind, and that is that you are timed. You can only be out from 12 AM to 7 AM. Once that clock strikes 7, you better bring your ass back to that garage or the game will just do it for you. What is nice is that the game breaks down your night on how many times you won events and how much cash you accumulated throughout your night, and then gives you a grade which really does nothing too crazy, but just to say either you've done really well, or you should just please uninstall the game. Now, you may have noticed that the game holds nothing back. As soon as you get out of the garage, it's all full guns blazing. So you'll either get your ass handed to you 9 times out of 10 from either your car not wanting to listen to you like half of these tic-tac kids out there right now, or the AI is just in a bad mood. But don't lose hope, there is some sort of light at the end of this cursor tunnel, and that is that there's this little thing called the multiplier making your night that much easier. You see, this little multiplier is going to be your best friend for every single time you launch this game, and the multiplier usually tops out at ×1, and it really does help with your tax evasion. I mean, in your endeavors of bettering your car and getting out of debt. And basically within a couple of events, you could have about 2 million yen. So that's like what, 3 quid in General Motors currency? Of course, some does get taken away as well in order to pay off the debt. So you're most likely going to be left over with a crooked wooden nickel and a Twix bar, which is half eaten, just to make your life that much better. Once that's said and done, you can head back to your garage and start upgrading your car. But there is one thing that you should keep in mind. The night does not end when you go back to your garage. It actually keeps ticking down, so if you actually take too long to mod your car, you can actually run out of night. But this also does reset the difficulty level for the AI, since it does work with the idea of the more you win, the tougher the races get. Now, I am glad to say that this game has a lot of customization options. I don't know if you've ever played Midnight Club LA, but this game takes a page from its books and decides to let you customize almost everything that you can see in front of you. From your front bumpers to your rear bumpers, side skirt spoilers, lights and hoods, you know, the basics of every racing game, but the game kicks it up a notch by allowing you to customize your interior as well. Now this is where that Midnight Club LA feel starts to kick in, as the game allows you to change your shifter, your seats, wheel, and also add gauges to track your oil temperature or your boost if you decide to add a turbo onto your car. And here's the kicker too, any customization option you pick will impact your car in some way, in the general sense of adding or removing weight, but spoilers also change your drag amount, meaning it will affect how your car will handle as well. Also meaning that if you really want to go for that race car aesthetic, you can fully strip your car down to just your driver's seat and the fundamentals you need to include a roll cage as well. But the game doesn't stop there. Remember what I said about gauges? Well, these gauges actually serve a purpose. Every time you equip one, they actually show up on your HUD and give you real-time measurements of whatever that gauge is reading. Speaking of the gauges, one of them will be your best friend for the rest of your life. That is the engine temperature gauge. This little guy is what will literally control your entire life inside of your car. You see, you're able to upgrade multiple components inside of your engine, and certain components will decrease your engine cooling, of course with a massive boost in power, so it's a pick your own poison type of deal. But do keep in mind that your engine can get damaged to the point it blows up. Or well, that's at least the idea that I've been getting, since I have yet to see it in the prologue. And remember, whenever you're running with a damaged engine, you're already running with an engine with significant drop in power. Or well, at least that's what I've heard. I'm not 100% sure yet. Do keep in mind though that you'd still retain some control over your engine cooling, as you can upgrade certain systems to make sure that cooling never drops below, let's say, 80%, to make sure that your engine runs longer than it actually can. Though this may seem useless to some who just want to plow down some power into that engine, these upgrades can really save your life down the line and actually allow you to get more money than with an engine that's just full on power. Of course, you also have your transmission upgrades to increase top speed and acceleration, and then you have the handling and brake department, so the usual upgrade system but with massive impacts on actual car well-being than just the boost in power. And that's really about it. Night Runners is such an ambitious little racing indie game that just ticks all the right boxes for a lot of racing game fans. So the massive amount of customization options you have to how the game feels. And just to make it brief, the gameplay is really great once you do upgrade your car though, because in the stock car, man, I have never wanted to drive into a solid wall more in my life until now. To the crazy amount of anxiety you feel when racing, from winning it big or losing it all, to how vibrant the city feels even if it's just a highway simulator at night. And man, oh man, the music is just the icing on the cake. That's what you've been hearing in the background this whole time. To me, it really fits the time period the game is trying to go for. I could also talk about so much more that the game has to offer, but I really want you to experience it on your own. So please, go and download the Night Runners Prologue. It's completely free, and there's so much content just for a small little demo. It is quite possibly the best thing you may have ever downloaded. And thanks for watching.